What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. With this video, we are jumping into the brand new issue number 1 of Daredevil. This story will be picking us up directly after Devil's Reign. Back at it is Chip Zdarsky, and he is giving us the next era of what Daredevil is truly going to be. And if you guys remember, Daredevil and Elektra, they decided to find and really bring together the Fist, an organization that is going to be hell-bent on taking down the Hand, which is going to make for a very interesting story considering the Punisher is now the High Slayer of the Hand. So make sure that you guys have subscribed to the channel, you've liked this video, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so as we dive into issue number 1, we are picking up with some narration from a mysterious, unrevealed individual. As he makes his way through this city, he sees the turmoil, the suffering, and it appears that he has one bright light. That bright light is Matt Murdock. And right now, this individual, that is exactly who he is looking for. And that's what picks us up with Daredevil, having a conversation with maybe himself or somebody else. It doesn't really specify or show the face. What we do see is a Daredevil with red eyes. Seemingly, this is a Daredevil that is in the near future, and he is talking about all of the individuals who made the decision to save the world, overcoming the violence of their past. They let the righteous violence into their lives. The question that Daredevil has proposed is at what cost? What has it cost all of these soldiers that you have enlisted into your army? And that's what takes us to New York City. Prior to Daredevil leaving the city, he goes and he meets up with the new Kingpin of Hell's Kitchen. That, of course, is Butch, the son of Wilson Fisk, or one of the sons of Wilson Fisk. And right now, Butch believes this to be Mike, Matt Murdock's brother. Matt Murdock's brother, he died at the hands of Wilson Fisk. And so as he plays his brother, he is really trying to get a feel for who this new Butch is, who the new Kingpin is going to be, with Butch letting Daredevil know that I am sorry about your brother, but he claims that he is not going to rule with an iron fist. He says that he is going to run this city with compassion. As the conversation continues on, we see Daredevil, he starts to get a little bit antsy, starts to get a little bit aggressive in the way that he is talking to Butch. Butch, still believing this to be Mike Murdock, he is letting him know that they are partners, but you really need to watch the way you talk to me and the way that you confront individuals. And this is when Daredevil, he shows who he truly is, knocking Butch down to the ground, and then quickly taking care of 2 of his guards. But Daredevil, he's not doing this alone. At this point, Butch has already figured out exactly what is happening. With Spider-Man showing up on scene, we see Matt Murdock throw on that mask, and they are letting Butch know that if you act like your father in any way, shape, or form, then the heroes of this city are gonna come down on you like a freaking wrecking ball. Picking up a little bit later on a rooftop, Spider-Man, he's not necessarily sure that this method is going to work, trying to terrorize the new Kingpin into acting right, if you will. And while it didn't work so great for them last time, Butch is a different breed. He is more cautious than his father. But Daredevil also wanted him to know that even if the Devil of Hell's Kitchen leaves this city, that there will be others to stop him. That is why he is bringing Spider-Man along with him. Spider-Man also letting Daredevil know that it was an awesome way to go using the Matt Murdock disguise. Spider-Man believing that this is not in fact Matt Murdock. And that is because of the Purple Children, erasing any knowledge of the secret of Matt Murdock's secret identity. Right now, Daredevil, he is about to let somebody know. taking off his mask and letting Spider-Man know that he is in fact Matt Murdock. And like a cascade of memories, all of them come flooding back to Spider-Man. Absolutely shocked, a little bit confused, he quickly realizes that Mike Murdock was his brother. And so for Matt, it's been very difficult for him, not being able to tell anybody who he is, feeling like he needed a fresh start. But now that he is quote unquote dead, he doesn't have to be as cautious. And while Spider-Man, he really does wish that he could let Daredevil know about his secret identity. The thing is, Peter Parker is still alive and kicking, and it's just not a risk that Spider-Man is willing to take. And so the two of them, they continue their tour of New York City, going around to all of the hot spots. This is just reminding the criminal underworld that there are individuals out there that will stop them. Because when the word goes out, when everybody knows that Daredevil is no longer in this city, he worries that some of these criminals might get a bad idea. They might try to take advantage of that situation. And so having Spider-Man along with him, this is just reminding them that Daredevil is not the only thing that they should be fearing. As Spider-Man takes off for the night, or at this point it is already morning, Daredevil, he sits here and he's trying to figure out what to do next. And that has everything to do with Kristen. She is about ready to leave and he wants to ensure that he gets to her before that happens. And that's what takes us over to a man who is carrying a gun. He had bought this gun while he was out of town. He has held it every single night, just thinking, today is the day that he plans to use it on his boss. But as he makes his way into a coffee shop, somebody gets very rude with him. And in this rudeness, we see the old man, he pulls out a pistol. The gunshot rings. Daredevil hears this, but he is not able to make it in time. Getting here, taking down the gunman, rushing over to the man that had just been shot. Daredevil was too late. With the sirens on their way, the ambulance not that far in the distance, we see Daredevil take off, feeling a little bit guilty about this, but he wanted to try and reach Kristen before it was too late, before she was gone from this city. But yet again, he is too late to meet her, sitting here next to the train tracks. This is where he runs into an old friend. This old friend is Robert Goldman, aka Goldie. Foggy and Matt Murdock had gone to law school with him. This is the guy that prosecuted him for murder. Not really sure why he is here or what reasoning any of this has, but what Goldie says next is that she is gone. Then he starts talking about how Daredevil has done so much good in this city, all of the people he has saved and the lives that he has changed. But then he refers to Daredevil as Matt. Goldie apologizing, saying that he knows this is horrible for him, but he has waited for years to tell him. Since the days at Columbia, we see Goldie begin to glow, saying that things have changed, and he knows that he needs to be more direct now. With Goldie beginning to glow, Daredevil, he can physically see Goldie, not really understanding what this is or what this means. Goldie says that he is Daredevil's guardian angel, but he is not hers. And off in the distance, we see that train that Kristen had got on. It goes up in flames. And so the question to Daredevil, what did he leave behind in that city? He will tell you that he left nothing behind, nothing more than distractions. Being asked why he is so tense around one of his soldiers. But Daredevil, he says that this individual, they are not a soldier. He is here because Daredevil had no choice. He is here because in this world, Robert Goldman is the only thing that terrifies Daredevil. He is the leader of the Fist, the man without fear. And so right now, he is scared because normally he fears nothing except God. And this is what picks us up with Daredevil, aka Elektra. she finds herself airdropping into a very remote location. This location is where she runs into Stick, and Stick has chosen this location for the rebirth of the Fist. This is where it all began. This is where the Fist started, and this is where it will rise again, to be the army that finally takes down the Hand. Elektra, she is still a little bit unsure on how Matt Murdock is going to do as the new leader of the Fist, because the truth is, to get Matt Murdock on board, she had to make some concession. But dressing up as Daredevil, that was never the concession that she had to make. This is how she was able to get Matt really convinced to trust her, not being able to finish this conversation because they are met with some company. Men standing outside wielding guns. This is absolutely no match for both Elektra and Stick as they make their way through all of these would-be assassins. It takes almost no time at all for them to dispatch them. Now Stick, he is much more violent. In fact, Stick has gone behind Elektra and killed all 3 of these guys. This is when Stick realizes that the tortured Boy Scout finally got to her, learning after Matt Murdock, Elektra no longer kills. This is when Elektra, she gets a little mad at what Stick is saying, striking just the right nerve. Stick is letting her know that one of you are doomed. And Elektra, she already knows this. This isn't something that Stick needs to tell her. But the truth is, she has died in Matt's arms before. And she will do it again if it means saving the world. If it means giving her time on this planet some kind of meaning. Or she is going to be the one to hold Matt Murdock as he dies. The man whose life it is all about meaning. And while Stick, he is definitely right. They are both fools. But Matthew, he is a fool with a destination. As this fight comes to an end, we see Elektra, she gets the upper hand, stopping herself before she smashes Stick right in the face. Stick realizes how different Elektra has become. She has put limitations on herself. This has pulled something out of her. But she fights with the passion that Daredevil does, believing that maybe, just maybe, this Daredevil thing, it might actually be good for Elektra. Alright guys, so as we jump into issue number 2, we are picking up right there at the train station, and Goldie is beginning to really explain his ability. At least to a certain degree that he understands it. His name being Goldie seems more of a coincidence than anything else because his name is Goldman. But as Daredevil gazes upon him, Goldie is in fact glowing gold, trying to go on about how he is Daredevil Matt Murdock's guardian angel, that these powers they manifested at an early age. And he believes that there is some kind of voice inside of his mind. A voice that speaks to him and tells him to do specific things. What he is insinuating to Matt Murdock is that he is the one responsible for causing this train to crash. The idea is that when Goldie does one small thing, say he turns somebody's clock back by 5 minutes, the voice had told him to do such things. And in doing so, in the near future, something drastic happens. As Goldie goes on, we learn that this is not the first time that he has interfered in Matt Murdock's life. There have been many things that he has done to ensure he becomes this city's savior. Of course, Daredevil, he can't think about this right now. The truth of the matter, Kristen's train just crashed. That is the only thing he can think about, and Goldie killed her. Not knowing how, not knowing why. Hearing a sound, this is when a train comes careening at him. So many innocent lives are getting taken, people are being injured. This is absolute chaos. As Daredevil goes to rescue as many people as he can from all of this carnage. All of the smoke that is surrounding him, it really is dampening all of his senses. With all of this noise, all of this movement, you could say that Daredevil is in almost weakened state, his senses being overloaded but also dampened at the same time. In his effort to rescue the driver of this train, he finds himself pinned under a giant concrete block. This is when Goldie shows up again, very very calm, very casually, letting him know that he doesn't know how his powers work. The only thing he truly does know is that what he does is for the greater good. And though he may have killed people, he probably is going to kill more people. The truth is, the only thing he actually did was bump into a guy a week ago. We saw that in the last issue, as he was hurrying his way into the library. In that library, he ended up using the computers to learn how to build a bomb. And on this day, this is the day that he decided he was going to detonate it. And now that Kristen has died, he believes that this is going to cause a ripple effect, one that will reforge Matt Murdock into an even greater hero. And from that, he will save countless numbers of lives. In the eyes of Goldie, a few lives being sacrificed for the greater good of humanity, it is well worth it. It is such a small price to pay to have such a great hero. But Goldie knowing even back in the day, Matt Murdock had always been a hero. He was just a hero waiting to be born. When they had met for the first time attending school at Columbia, Goldie had already had these powers for years. At that time, they were really more an itch in his brain, a voice that urged him to do very small things, very subtle things. And those things grew into greater goods. But then he met Matt Murdock, already a good man on the cusp of being a great one. That is when the voice sang. It sang a song of angels and demons. And Goldie knew this is the one that he had been waiting for, that he was put here for Matt Murdock. His purpose laid before him. He was the hidden disciple, the disciple to the book of Matthew Murdock. Now, of course, Daredevil, he has no idea what Goldie is talking about. Not really sure what's going on, not sure if he's mentally ill, what's happening to him. But one thing he does want to do is help his friend. As Goldie continues on, letting him know that you learn so much from mistakes, this makes for greater successes. The strongest steel is forged in the hottest of fires. This is what he has done for Matt ever since that one faithful day on campus, the day that Elektra and her father had been taken prisoner. At that time, Matt Murdock, he hadn't put on the persona of Daredevil just yet, but that never stopped him from going out and helping those that needed it. Making his way inside the campus building, he is quickly able to dispatch most of the guards. As he gets inside, this is where we see Elektra tied up. Being someone that could have very easily ended this all of this time, she chose not to. The truth is, this was Elektra testing him, trying to see if he would be good for the hand. But even Goldie, all the way back then, he knew the two of them, they would be the death of one another. And so while Daredevil and Elektra, they are up in this building, they are battling all of the goons. Down on the ground, somebody hollers, they are killing hostages. This is when a trigger-happy police officer, he starts unloading into the building. This is the day that Elektra's father had died. The person that hollered they're killing the hostages, it had been Goldie. The voice inside of his head telling him to do so. Not really understanding it at the time. He understood that this would eventually unfold into something much greater. That single moment in time, it changed both Elektra and Daredevil. Before Goldie can tell us any more information, we have some civilians coming in, seeing Daredevil trapped, and seeing Goldie being very suspicious. As Goldie just saunters off, the people go and they help Daredevil get back on his feet, knowing that he is not going to be able to let Goldie get away, that he is going to have to answer for everything that just transpired. Right now, Matt's ribs, they are done for. Luckily, he has no internal bleeding, still having Goldie in his radar. This is what brings him to an under construction heaven. Getting up to Goldie, he goes on to let us know that he wasn't sure the voices were going to keep Matt Murdock alive, especially considering how reckless he is. Knowing that the construction crews are gonna be showing up, all of the construction work, it throws off Daredevil's senses. Too much going on, too much noise. But Goldie goes on to tell us that he is not here to hurt Matt Murdock, saying that God simply isn't done with them yet. But at this point, Daredevil is already fed up with Goldie, fed up with these games, fed up with everything going on. He wants some answers. Catching up to him, Daredevil starts laying down some haymakers. trying to figure out what Goldie wants from him and why he killed Kristen. The truth is, he doesn't know why. He simply does what he knows should be done. That train exploding today, it will make him a better hero. Will make him a hero reborn. This is when Goldie, he goes on to tell us that there has been a lot that he has been involved in, to include leaking his name to the FBI. But there are many things that he is also not involved in, like Matt Murdock ending up in prison. He is not sitting here like a puppet master controlling Daredevil's life. He is making small adjustments, steering him in a different direction. And when we speak of him going and making small adjustments, we see him having a conversation with Bullseye. And so maybe somehow, some way, he had manipulated Bullseye into doing everything that he had done. He had been in the shadows for so long. He was a little nervous to really shine to the world, if you will. Admitting to Daredevil that it truly does feel amazing to finally be able to tell somebody the truth. Punching Daredevil in the ribs. The voice inside of his head had told him to do so. At this point, Daredevil is believing that Goldie is full-on insane, that there has to be some kind of puppet master manipulating the whole situation. But Goldie knows one thing in his very bones, that God is good and bad things, they happen. As he goes and leaps off the building, he says that God is also ultimately merciful, and maybe Kristen isn't dead after all. Just like that, Goldie is gone, washed away from the rain, all of the noise from the construction. This is what makes Matt Murdock really begin to think, could Kristen still be alive? And so he hurries his way back over to the train station, looking through all of the faces, looking through the crowds, trying to find her. And this is when he hears her voice, letting him know that he is a little bit too late. We learn that the train had been out of service, so she had never gotten on the train. With Matt Murdock believing that she had died, he lets her know that he loves her, saying that she needed to know this. She also tells him to slow down a little bit, because while she did kiss him, he is coming on a little bit strong. That's because she doesn't remember. She doesn't remember that Daredevil is Matt Murdock, and that they were in love. This day, he had come to tell her who he was. But maybe this is all they get, is a simple goodbye kiss. A moment before the train goes out, before he moves on to work with the Fist. A simple moment before he marries Elektra. And that is what is going to take us over to a local police station. We have Goldie showing up, and here he confesses to being responsible for the explosion on the train, not putting up any kind of fight, letting them know that they are going to need special restraints, a special cell to keep him in. As he begins to glow, he says this is exactly where he needs to be for him. And, you know, as we've been going through these last 3 issues, what's really amazing about how all of the writing is done is that before Devil's Reign, we were starting to see the decline of Daredevil. Not necessarily in his power set, but in his mind, as if he was losing purpose, that he was a lost soul. And I think this new journey that he is doing with the Fist, this is kind of an extension of that. Not knowing what he is doing, not knowing where he is going, he attaches himself to something, and he is just diving headfirst into the deep end. That's what brings us to the first recruit, the police officer known as Cole. Now, he lets Cole in on everything, on the hand, what they plan to do, and how he plans to build his army. The reason that he wants Cole there is not because he's a good cop, not because he is a fierce warrior, though he is those things. He wants him there because he is a good man, and the path that he is taking, he fears that this will change him, that he will compromise everything that he is, that leading the Fist will drag his very soul to hell. Obviously, Cole is very hesitant on doing any of this, but he does think about it. Now, Murdock already knows. He is on board. He can tell by his heart rate. He can tell by the excitement that he is not expressing. And so while he may have Cole secure, there are still a few other people that he would like to stop and see and try to bring on board. The first stop is City Hall, going to talk to the mayor, Mayor Luke Cage. At 4 o'clock in the morning, this is where we see Daredevil come through the window. Luke Cage only up at this late hour because he has a meeting with some very powerful people, telling Daredevil that he really doesn't have the time for whatever antics or shenanigans he may be trying to get him into. And while Daredevil, he does his pitch, Luke Cage very quickly picks up on exactly what he's trying to do. And Luke Cage stops him, lets him know, I'm not doing any of this. Once upon a time, I would go in, I would crack some skulls, I would break some stuff, but as it stands right now, he truly believes that he can make some kind of change in this city, not as a superhero or vigilante, but as the mayor of New York City. In this position of power, he believes that he can make some change. And that starts with the meeting that he is about to attend, the meeting with the Stormwinds. Now, if you remember, the last time that we saw the Stormwinds, Wilson Fisk had gone to them, believing that they were gonna make him president. This is until he double crosses them, breaks one of their hands, one of them gets shot, and he pretty much kills all of their guards, sending this as a message: do not mess with me, and do not mess with the new Kingpin. The new Kingpin being Butch, Wilson Fisk's son. For Luke Cage, he doesn't know who these people are, but Murdock does. He has dealt with them. He's even stolen money from them. He knows exactly who they are and what they are capable of. Because of this, he follows Luke Cage, going to the old Fisk building, now the Stormwind building. Walking inside, Luke Cage is greeted by the Stormwinds. Right off the bat, he gets to talking about their new proposal. They want to buy up a big chunk of the city, and Luke Cage has no problem with this, letting them know that if you do this, he has a proposal that will give back to the community. It's going to congest this area of the city with their new building projects, so on and so forth. But before he can even get into this proposal, they stop him. They let him know that they're not going to be doing any of that, that they are going to go ahead and do whatever it is that they would like. They just wanted to bring him here to show him that they own everything. While technically not everything, they plan to own everything in the near future, that they are going to take over the world. And they felt like they didn't flex themselves enough for Wilson Fisk, for the new mayor. They plan to make it very, very clear what kind of strength, what kind of power they actually have. This is when Luke Cage puts them on pause, letting them know that I am not Mayor Fisk. I am someone with actual power. I am someone with very, very powerful friends, magical hammers, and all of that jazz. So if it is me you want to step to, if you want to bring this game, we can play it. But for the time being, I'm going to leave this proposal on the table for you to read. If you decide that you are going to threaten my family, I will show you exactly what I am capable of. Old man Stormwind, absolutely losing his mind, goes off screaming and hollering how they have the power, that no one will ever touch them again, most likely referring to when Wilson Fisk had broke his hand. As Luke Cage begins to walk out of the office, Daredevil on the outside has been eavesdropping the entire time, but this is when he learns that it is a trap. They already knew that he was going to be here. As a ton of guards come down on top of him, he lays down some hate and he makes his getaway. Though they wanted to have a conversation with him, he is not sticking around to see what they have in store, and so making his getaway as the sun begins to peek over the skyscrapers. This is when he views something off in the distance, a silhouette of a person. He knows this to be the Hand, this figure acknowledging that she is part of that organization and that it has grown so greatly. But this is a meeting that she has waited for such a very long time. Now we know this to be Aka. She is the one that taught Elektra everything she knows. And she is also divulging that the Stormwinds, they are in fact the Hand's new partner. They are working together to take over the world. This is how the Hand has been able to escalate all of their forces. This is how they have stepped themselves up to the next level. They have the financial backing of the Stormwinds, arguably some of the rich and most powerful humans without any kind of power. Their power comes from their money. from their access, from their ability to negotiate. There is so much about prophecy that surrounds the hand and the fist. So much prophecy that surrounds Daredevil himself, enlightening him, letting him know that their prophecy shows him as the beast of the fist, but they have found the fist of their beast, taunting him, teasing him with who this person might be. Slowly but surely, she divulges the information, whispering the name Frank Castle. The Punisher is punishing the world. When Daredevil says that he is a madman, that why would you tell me all of this? Why not simply kill me? But the truth is, the prophecy, it still needs Matt Murdock. Everything will soon come to pass. Everybody is simply playing their parts, saying that the fist, it fits directly into the hand. To get there, we need Matt Murdock to suffer unbelievable loss, unable to track her, unable to hear anywhere she might have gone. He immediately thinks of Foggy, thinks that his friend very well may be in danger. As he goes to try to track her down, he recognizes that she is headed directly to Foggy's place. Getting to the doorsteps, he finds himself absolutely exhausted, taking one heck of a beating. Foggy comes out, he sees that he is okay, but he lets Foggy know that you are packing your bags and you are coming with me. So we are picking up with issue number 4. In a helicopter making it to our destination, we have Foggy, we have Cole, and we have Daredevil on their way from New York City. Cole is a little bit concerned on why Foggy is here, but Daredevil lets him know that Cole was brought on board to keep him out of trouble. Foggy is here to get him out of trouble. Though Matt Murdock, he's not gonna come right out and say that his life is in jeopardy. But with our makeshift team making their way to their destination, this is where they are greeted by Elektra. The very sound of her heartbeat, it calms Matt Murdock. If he is being honest with himself, that is the only thing about Elektra that makes him calm. And she knew exactly why Daredevil had stayed behind. He had to clear things up with Kristen. He had to break it off, because what he has ahead, there is no room for her. But with Elektra greeting everyone, letting them know that the money she stole from the store wins, the billions of dollars that she took from them, she has finally put it to some good use. This is when Daredevil sees him, recognizing that Stick is a part of this operation. But Elektra tells Daredevil that Stick is the one who found the text of the fist. Because of that, he gets to be here as it continues to grow, hiring a whole bunch of individuals. This is when one of them, going by the name of Jab, he gets a little bit smart, not really sure if they should be following around a guy in a devil costume. Daredevil hears this, and he goes toe-to-toe with Jab, letting him know that if you have a problem with my leadership, we can fix that right here, right now. And this confrontation, it gets interrupted by Doc Sasquatch, also known as Dr. Leonard Sampson, one of Daredevil's secret weapons, welcoming everybody to the fist. We pick up later that evening. We have Elektra, Stick, and Daredevil having a conversation. We're learning that most of the individuals that have been brought on board, they're mostly mercenaries, ones that they encountered when they stole all of this money. Not only that, a lot of them are ex-hand, which means they know exactly what needs to be done. This is when Daredevil goes ahead and fills them in on everything that happened while he was in New York, meeting the Shadow Leader, learning the truth, learning of the new partners, enlightening them to the Storewim's ideas, that they have plans for something global. Also letting Elektra know that she was right. All of the prophecies were right. They have their new Fist of the Beast, and it is Frank Castle. But she had also let him know that he is the Beast of the Fist. That is when Stick interjects and lets it be known that she has her prophecies, but the Fist also has their own. The powers stem from dual beasts, a king and queen. This is why Daredevil and Elektra exist, why they were put on this earth. They will be the king and queen of the Fist. That, of course, is if they survive the ceremony. Now, picking up with Cole, he is starting to make himself really just used to this new lifestyle. Not really sure what to expect, not not even sure why he is here to begin with. All of the mercenaries, they can tell that he is not somebody from this life, that he stinks of being just a regular normal person. The problem with that is regular people, they end up dead. They end up compromising things. And in turn, this causes people to get killed. So the message to Cole is to stay out of the way. Stay in your room, get out of our way, make sure that you don't mess anything up. And so while Cole is trying to really figure out where he belongs in all of this, we are taken to later on, Daredevil and Elektra getting ready to head out. For Daredevil, this is a little bit difficult because he very much did love Kristen. He probably will always love her, but he has promised himself to something bigger. No matter what the sacrifices may be, no matter what the heartbreak might entail, he is the Daredevil and he has every intention of fixing the world. Now, before they head out, Foggy lets them know that he really would like to come with them. The only problem with that, if Foggy did go along, he would more than likely die because the trek that they are about to do, only the two of them could possibly do it. Letting Foggy know that they will be back by nightfall, the two of them head into the mountains, into the treacherous terrain, overcoming the elements and all the obstacles, finding their way to the entrance of a cave. Stick told them that this is where the souls of the Hand, all of the dead, reside in here. To resurrect the Fist, they need to defeat them, drawing out their swords. Seeing the glowing eyes coming from the cave, life has never been more complicated for Matt Murdock, but death, that is never an option. And our two Daredevils, they start laying down the hate as these two are fighting the souls. At the same time, we're watching Cole, and Cole putting on some gloves, punching some bags, getting ready to really show what he is capable of. With Jab coming in the room, we see the two of them begin to spar, and what we see is Cole able to just bring it, with Cole proving himself to be at least a good fighter. Our Daredevils are cleaning up what is remaining of all of these souls, completely exhausted, both of them laying on the ground. Daredevil turning to Elektra, asking her if she is still alive, both of them making it through this ordeal. That is when Stick appears, reading from these texts, asking them if they are relinquishing their old lives, the way of the world below and the world above, all for the strength of a hand looking inward, for the Fist. Both of them saying, "I do." He declares them king and queen of the Reformed Fist. He declares them husband and wife. Now, it is time to get to work. Alright gang, so as we pick up with this issue, we have a bunch of our individuals that have joined Daredevil and Elektra. They are currently out in the courtyard and they are training. They are training with their new abilities. You see, when Elektra and Daredevil made their more or less marriage pact, their marriage union meant the resurrection of the Fist, a ceremony that is as old as time itself, but it's not just symbolic. This unlocked abilities for all of them. Strength, speed, agility, you name it. We see all the individuals that are currently here with the army. They have all leveled up. Foggy, more than anybody, is currently enjoying the heck out of this, while Cole, on the other hand, he's not really sure about this. Daredevil letting them all know that they are now members of the Fist, and that comes with some perks and privileges. But for Cole, this feels a little bit unnatural. Cole is the man that is supposed to be here to make sure Daredevil doesn't go too far. Everyone having these kind of abilities, in his mind, this feels like it might be too far. But Daredevil lets him know that he has other abilities. He has a heightened sense caused by an accident when he was a kid. Some would consider this to be unnatural. Their world gets saved every single day by superheroes that some would say have unnatural abilities. Telling Cole that this is a gift that has been passed down through a millennia. It's so that they can hold back the forces of evil. As we jump over to Stick, Elektra, and Daredevil, they are currently talking about the Book of the Fist, because as it stands, it is rewriting itself, but Stick would say that it is revealing itself. Ever since the two of them got married, they no longer need to translate the text that couldn't be translated. It is is showing them exactly what they need. It is almost as if the book is alive, but Elektra tells Daredevil that she doesn't believe he is going to like what the book is saying. It says that the hand has uncovered something called the Lunate Talisman. This affects their resurrection protocols, banishing the souls of the dead into hell, but reanimating their bodies under complete control of the hand, also having full use of the memories of that body. And what is worse, they have already been using this. They have been replacing the leaders of the physical world. They are trying to bring about the end of the world and the rise of the beast. And Daredevil cannot help but think about Frank Castle, that he may be a madman, but this is something that he must not know about. We already know that Akka is the one in charge of the hand. She is more of a shadow leader, and so Castle, he either doesn't know or he doesn't care. But if the hand is controlling heads of state, they know that needs to be their priority. While Elektra, she wants to head out and go deal with this immediately. Daredevil lets her know that he needs her. For the mission that they are about to do ahead, they are going to need all hands on deck. This is where we see Daredevil preparing for the mission, questioning himself every step of the way, asking himself who the heck does he think he is? Prophecies and magic, missions given to him by God or against God. Deep in his heart, he has to believe that God is showing him the right path, that he is God's warrior, the one in devil's clothing. But if he is wrong, if this is not God's mission, then everyone that he has with him, he is dragging to the depths of hell. But everybody loads up and they head out. They head to the Myrmidon, a supervillain prison out in the middle of the ocean. Having only enough time to clear Block D, Daredevil makes his move into the facility, and Daredevil can't help but notice his powers have been changing as well. The fist magic is helping him sense deeper, farther. He can sense joy, sadness, anger, and love. But getting to the control room, knocking out the guards, this is when he starts opening up some cells, and he gives them an option, that you are on a prison surrounded by the ocean, that you can stay here or you can come with us, that you can come fight for something much bigger than you have ever been chasing. That is when Stegron comes out of the shadows, throwing people around, telling them that he doesn't need any kind of saving. That's when Elektra steps in, saying that they have done their research. They know exactly who he is, where he comes from, and they also know that he cannot swim. And so in this particular moment, he is going to have to accept their help. Taking us elsewhere inside the facility, this is where we have U.S. Agent. Him and a bunch of guards are coming to check out a disturbance. That is where they are met by Daredevil. Daredevil, knowing that he most recently head up the Thunderbolts initiative. That was during Fisk's final days. But Daredevil gives him an offer. Do you want to throw in with all of these fascists? Or do you want to come with me and take the chance of being saved? And while U.S. Agent, he tries to say that he is on good terms with God, Daredevil lets him know as he shuts off the lights that if he were good with God, God wouldn't have sent the devil. As Elektra is loading everybody up onto the ship, they are forced to take off into the sky as they take fire. Elektra telling them to circle around, refusing to leave him behind. He is currently preoccupied with U.S. Agent, with John Walker making the first move. He throws his shield wildly into the dark, but John Walker, he doesn't understand Daredevil. He doesn't know that Daredevil can feel every contour of him, the shield, everything. That this fight was over as soon as those lights went out. In a matter of seconds, we see Daredevil drop everybody, now carrying the shield of U.S. Agent. U.S. Agent surrounded by all the guards on the ground. This is where they go one-on-one. And U.S. Agent didn't stand a freaking chance. Every time he goes to throw a blow, Daredevil is there to counter it, making him bleed, making him fall down to the ground, leaving him there broken and beaten, taking his shield along with him, letting him know that he needs to get his life right before this world comes tumbling down. As Daredevil goes to leave this facility, that is when he senses somebody just recently brought into the prison. He wasn't on the manifest that Elektra had looked looked over. That man is Goldie. Robert Goldman has found himself in prison. Every hair on Daredevil's body is standing at attention. Goldie asking, "Are you here to set me free so that I can help you get to where you are going?" Because Goldie, he firmly believes that he is working for God. Not sure if this is a test of his convictions. Not sure what he is going to do here. We pick up later. We have Iron Man and Captain America who are going over their surveillance footage. 15 supervillains were freed from prison. No casualties, and one individual very front and center on the cameras. That, of course, is Daredevil. That is when Captain America lets it be known that they need to alert the other Avengers because they are about to bring in Daredevil. Alright, gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are seeing some of our new recruits. We have Speed Demon, Bullet, Fancy Dan, Stiltman, The Wrecker, Stegron, Agony, all of these individuals sitting down having their little, I guess you could say, daily meeting with Sasquatch. He has been giving them therapy sessions. He is trying to heal them, to try and help them become better versions of themselves. In the midst of one of these little interviews, that is where Agony tells him that he talks far too much. With him not stopping, she goes in and she attacks him. Breaking through the wall, the two of them are about to have their fight. But that is when Daredevil steps up. She tries to say that Agony herself is violence, but Daredevil lets her know that she is not violence, that she has suffered from violence, that she is reflecting that outward. But here and now, she will only suffer from care. She will only suffer from love. Agony no longer having that instinct to just take his throat out. At this point, she's more annoyed by all of this preaching. Outside of this little incident, most of these sessions, they've gone surprisingly well. Most of the inmates that they had rescued, they are open to talking. It does help that he is 8 feet tall and weighs hundreds, 500 to be exact, hundreds of pounds. It makes them a little more compelled to have these conversations. But something in the air, he believes, truly does help them want to talk more, to open up more. Daredevil says that it's the peace, it's the freedom, no longer being locked away in a cage, the sunlight on their faces, the ocean wind against their skin. And while Elektra, she finds herself in Paris, France, we have a conversation between Daredevil and Bullet. And Daredevil goes on to have a conversation with him because in one of his therapy sessions, Bullet had been lying. Daredevil, with his new enhanced abilities, his senses kicked up 1,000%. He was able to eavesdrop on the conversation even though he didn't necessarily want to do so. But he knows that Bullet was lying because Bullet had said that Lance, his son, had died. The truth is, he didn't die. Bullseye did not kill him. He had sent his son into hiding to keep him away from the world that he had been in for so very long. While it is the only life that Bullet knows, he wants better for his son. Bullet goes on to say that this place is kinda like a prison, and while Daredevil says that it's not, he tries to let him know that this place is here to help you, that everyone they rescued, they have been through the revolving door of the penal system for so very long, that this has to be more than punishment, that they have to find a way to help one another, to grow, to be better. And while Bullet believes himself not to be a charity case, Daredevil reminds him that empathy is not charity. Wanting to lift other people up, this should be the normal, that if someone doesn't have the means to cook, that they should feed them. We should teach them new paths, help them become better people. That way, when they go back home, when they are truly ready to do so, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. That is when Bullet lets him know to save it. Save all of your preaching, all of this. Because worst comes to worst, this place is nothing more than a vacation. Because while Daredevil, he can sit here and say all of this, don't pretend like he is going to put Bullet or any of the others into new legitimate careers in the real world. They had been broken out of prison. They can't go back to America. If they do, they will get put in the same exact hole that they had been pulled out of. They are a fugitive, and Daredevil knows damn well that none of them can go back. To Bullet, this is nothing more than more of the same thing he has seen over and over and over again. He knows that Daredevil wants something more from him, from all of them. After Bullet leaves the room, Daredevil trying to be the calm teacher, trying to lead by example, but he finds it so hard to keep that calm. He feels everything more. His senses in overdrive. He is trying so hard to tamper it down, but we see him throw pots and pans across the room because this is becoming something very difficult to control. That is what takes us over to Elektra. In this hotel room, this is where she runs into Iron Man outside of the window, letting her know to step away from the president. While she faces off against Iron Man, Daredevil and Stick watching the others, watching them grow, watching them train, not even sure if any of this is actually going to work. It all really depends on what Elektra finds. If the Hand is taking control of world leaders, killed them and replaced them with puppets, adding Frank Castle being the leader, they're gonna have to make their move, and they're gonna have to make it quickly. With Elektra facing off against Iron Man, using her size, a weapon that was upgraded by Tony Stark during the King in Black event. Iron Man, more than anything, he is trying to get answers, not knowing what her and the other Daredevil are up to, breaking people out of prison and now going after a president. This is where we see two ninja from behind Iron Man taking daggers and stabbing him through his suit because it is some Makarian skin, 1 nanometer thick at its edge. The blade will always find its mark. The truth is, Iron Man doesn't know what he is stepping in. He doesn't know what he is getting into, and he truly doesn't understand the bigger picture. That is when Elektra, she goes to the president, asking if he is actually the president or if he is just a shell. Standing next to the window, he says that he is the president and he is in hell. That is when he leaps from the building. As he falls down to his death, Elektra chasing after him. With his last words, he says that it is too late, daughter of the Hand, traitor of the beast, that they have them all, and soon they will have all of them, that soon one of you will die and the prophecy will be fulfilled. The news going out across the globe, Elektra being seen at the death of this president. We see Akka, the true shadow leader behind the Hand. She has come to the Punisher, letting him know that Daredevil and his organization, they are headed to Japan. The Punisher saying that the High Priestess, she betrayed the cause, which we saw in issue number 5 of the Punisher. More than likely, he is referring to when the High Priestess decided she was going to kill a bunch of the ninja families, trying to make them more like the Punisher. He tells her to ready the army because there are some murderers that need to be punished. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are getting a recap from Daredevil, letting us know exactly what is going on with the Punisher, the man known as Frank Castle, a murderer, killing criminals in his deluded war that only he sees. And for a very long time, he was a solo individual, someone that was his own army. That is until the Hand had took him in, until the High Priestess turned him into the fist of the beast. They made him a leader, they gave him an army, and now he is hell on earth. But this is a game of prophecy. At least that is what Stick and Elektra continuously tell him. That is what takes us to Daredevil and Elektra. We see that Daredevil is preparing to head out. Elektra letting it be known that they need to focus on the war ahead. The prophecy foretold saying that one of them will die. That they need to be prepared, they need to be ready. The truth is, Daredevil is sick and tired of prophecies. Between Goldie and these prophecies, he feels as if there is no free will, as if he doesn't have a choice in anything that is about to happen. He feels that these prophecies are nothing more than a trap. a way of making them unsure and baiting them in. He is a man of his convictions. He has always aimed to help people, and that is exactly what they are gonna go out and do today. That is what takes us to Charlotte, North Carolina, an apartment complex surrounded by police. There is a company that is currently evicting everybody from their homes, using the police, using the law to do so. That is why Daredevil and his men have shown up today. From Bullet to Speed Demon, Daredevil is letting them know that these individuals are lawbreakers, that they are bending, they are turning, they are messing with the laws, using the police as their brute force. As the police make their way in, kicking down doors, evicting people from their homes. All of these people being given eviction notice based on manufactured lease violations, which is saying that these people, they have done nothing to deserve eviction. It is all lies, it is all creation so that they can bulldoze down this building. This is all because of the developer known as Castle Max. As the police try and evict these individuals, that is where Daredevil shows up on scene. The police saying that they are going to arrest them, Daredevil wastes no time attacking these police officers, letting them know that these people are only protecting their property, that your job is to be helping people. If you are not in the line of work to want to help individuals, then find a different job. Daredevil trying to remain as cool as possible. That is where we pick up with Bullet, one of these police officers striking a child. Bullet, unable to stop himself, he knocks this cop right against the face. Daredevil coming in to let Bullet know that use violence only when necessary, that hurting him will only make him feel better, that it is a selfish act. That is when Daredevil is able to hear that there are explosives in the bottom of this building. That is where Speed Demon comes into play, with Daredevil having his fist-enhanced senses. They are overwhelming at times, but he is learning how to use them properly. With this enhanced ability, he is able to detect exactly where this explosive is in the building. Getting Speed Demon there, they deactivate it. This bomb had been planted by Castle Max. What Daredevil was not aware of was the other explosive that was on top of the roof. A young girl up here, the police trying to grab hold of her. Getting Speed Demon up there, he doesn't make it in time. We see the explosive go off. The girl goes falling from the building. Lucky for her, Stiltman was there to save the day. With Stiltman grabbing hold of the girl, the police running from the building. The captain obviously furious, telling his men to get back inside. This is where we have an attorney representing the residents. A court injunction delaying the evictions due to new evidence. All of this orchestrated by Daredevil, because while he may be a very good superhero, he is an even better lawyer. That is what takes him to the CEO of Castle Max. They have come directly to the source. Daredevil is here threatening him, terrifying him, letting him know that these people will remain in their homes. No more false evictions. No more pushing people into the streets. That if you do, Daredevil will be back. As they make their exit, this is where we have Bullet and Daredevil have a conversation. Bullet saying that violence, it's not always physical. We just scared the living hell out of that CEO. He is going to have nightmares from this moment forward. Now, Bullet fully does appreciate everything that Daredevil has been doing. That he wants to try to do something different. Instead of beating these people up and throwing them in prison, Daredevil is trying to rehabilitate them. But Bullet is letting it know that he can't be on the island any longer. His son Lance is out there without a father, and he feels that he needs to be there with him. And at first, Daredevil, he tries to talk against this, but he knows that he cannot force these individuals to stay. He knows that the others will see this as nothing more than a prison that they had escaped from. That it may be a mistake, but he has to let them do this. Giving him a jewel, letting him know that to communicate any moment that he may need them. As they return back, Elektra does notice that one of them is missing. But giving that jewel, this also gives Daredevil the opportunity to kind of spy on them. This is Daredevil's way of keeping tabs and making sure that they stay on the straight and narrow. But Stick is letting us know that the book is active. It is writing itself. It is revealing more. It is letting us know that Frank Castle is on a murdering spree. He thinks there are a town of killers that need to be wiped out. Thousands are going to die if they do not stop him. When Daredevil goes to look at the book, he can see that he can read it. Everything is there. Daredevil's entire life. This makes him think about Goldie and how he might not actually have free will. This is when they get communication from Bullet, letting him know that the hand they have taken his son. They are currently jumping him. He tries to fight off all the ninja. The ninja letting Daredevil know that if he wishes to have the murderer spared, then he knows where to go. Stick does not question this in the slightest bit. The book says that they need to go, this is very clear. They need to go face off against Frank Castle. Elektra beginning to understand that this may very well be a trap, but Daredevil has no other option. He knows that Frank Castle will kill Bullet. That is what he does to criminals. But he also knows that Frank Castle will not kill an innocent, that the child needs rescuing, and it is his job to do so. That is where we hear the bells of war begin to ring. He tells his army that they are not ready. The forces that they are about to face completely outnumber them. Daredevil says that they are not ready, that it is too soon, that they cannot take on all of this, but there is a child. He says these words, but they hang in the air. But there is a child. Alright gang, so we are picking up right in the midst of battle. The hand versus the fist. We see ninja left and right, they are falling. The Punisher's forces having the power of the undead. They are fighting against literal skeletons. And to make the situation even worse, Frank Castle has a freaking dragon. Not really sure where this came from. It just popped up in the last issue. I actually thought it was kind of more of a metaphor. But no, this is a literal dragon that Frank Castle is riding on. That is where we see Frank Castle leap from the dragon and he goes toe-to-toe with Daredevil. Daredevil is here for one goal. It is to save that kid. But he cannot help himself believe that Frank Castle has to die. He believes in saving all of God's creatures. But Frank Castle doesn't belong to God. Maybe he never has. He is a butcher, twisted up by hellfire and dark magic. He wants all of this to end right now. As these two titans clash together, we have Cole that is making his way through the lines. Zombies, lifeless and unmoving. He is pulling out his pistol and he is shooting everything that he can. He finds himself going against Bullet. Bullet being taken over by the Talisman, completely unaware that his son had been kidnapped. As Cole and Bullet fight one another, we pick back up with Daredevil and Punisher. Daredevil telling Frank that he told him to abandon all of this madness, that he is being used. But Frank doesn't care. The only thing he cares about is the mission. Going on to call him a phony. He is a man that released murderers out of prison, that he has let him live all of this time because he was keeping scum off of the streets. But now that he is just releasing them and inscripting them into his army, he is going to make him burn. That is where we see the dragon come up behind Frank's shoulder. He opens up his mouth and he lets out a great flame. But the dragon's flame, it hits Frank Castle instead. That is because of Stegron. He is able to control reptilian creatures. One of this size he can't really control, but he can throw the dragon off balance. This gives the other members of the team to come in with cables and swords. They start pinning up this dragon. They tie up his feet, they tie up his neck. They keep him from being able to truly open up his wingspan. And they are able to put down this dragon, at least for the moment, taking one of the biggest weapons off the battlefield. That is where we pick up with Cole making his way through Bullet. With a little bit of help, they are able to take him over. They plan to take him back to the base. Cole cutting through the lines, he finds that young boy. He finds young Lance. Having the kid put the shield onto his back, he throws young Lance over his shoulder, the boy holding on. And we see Cole just shooting and punching his way through these lines. Punisher and Daredevil still going toe-to-toe, telling Daredevil that his god is dead, that his blood rained down on him, blood that ran through his wife and his children. He is saying that he is avenging his god, as the two of them keep exchanging blows. Daredevil telling Frank that he is all out of bullets, all out of blades, that he has nothing and he is nothing, that God is very much alive. He is what lets you breathe that air every single day, as Daredevil steps on him and starts to drown him in the puddle, letting Frank know that God has sent him to finally remedy the mistake of keeping Frank alive. Daredevil is here to be his Punisher. Picking up with Elektra and Akka, the two of them fighting one another. Elektra gets a sigh right into her stomach, finding herself too distracted. Akka had played with her, had manipulated her, had used her emotions against her to get the upper hand, with Speed Demon coming in and grabbing her very quickly. The dragon had broke free. Unable to control it, we see Daredevil hopping onto the dragon. He left Frank Castle, focusing on protecting his men. His magic heightened senses. He can feel everything. He can feel the very heart, the very soul of this dragon, knowing that no creature is born evil. He connects with the dragon and he sets it free, as the dragon takes off into the air with Daredevil still on his back. The dragon is free. The boy has been saved. He can hear it all. His people are losing. More hand reinforcements are making their way there. His wife is dying. It is time to let go. As he falls off of the dragon, that is where Stiltman comes in and he grabs Daredevil from falling to his death. As Daredevil's forces go into full retreat, Punisher a little bit confused. Akka lets it be known that they realize that they are outmatched, that they lost. Daredevil on the plane with Elektra sitting here bleeding out. Elektra is still very much alive and she was able to grab the talisman, the secret to the hand's resurrection powers. Being too preoccupied with stabbing Elektra, she didn't see Elektra grab it from around her neck. Though they still lost this battle, they still need to defeat the hand. But Daredevil knows it won't be because of some prophecy, not because they were forced into battle. They will fight them on their own terms. Now that they have the talisman, they are going to win. That is where we pick up with Iron Man, Captain America, and Spider-Man. They are all sitting around saying that they slipped up. A magical veil had been hiding them, but they left the veil, and now they are headed back to their base. Someone on the inside, Captain America says they have seen the light and have given them exact coordinates. They broke murderers out of prison. Now they have a responsibility to stop them. They have to stop Daredevil. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are picking up with Matt Murdock after their battle with the Punisher and the Hand. After taking one heck of a beating, Daredevil is in pretty rough shape, and while Stick tells him that he should probably stay down, of course Matt gets up. He gets up to find that Elektra is trying to figure out a way to destroy this talisman, using the book which has been their prophecy. Inside of this book, it tells them how to destroy it. The Hand's secret weapon, the Lunate Talisman. A talisman that can control the dead. It banishes their souls to hell. They have used it to murder and puppet world leaders. When it is destroyed, their control will end, and the world will have the reckoning that it deserves. But Elektra tells him that they won, that it may not seem like a great victory, but you must take the opportunity to enjoy the small victories, that you can't fix everything. Daredevil knows that this is not over. He doesn't want to sit and wait. The Hand is still out there, and evil still walks the world, and the world is still suffering. This is where we pick up with Daredevil making his way to the infirmary, seeing all the men that are wounded. He has a conversation with Cole. He tells Cole that he is fine, that they all need some healing, a little bit of rest, and then they will be back to 100%. Then they can go out and they can fight the Hand again. Destroy them all once and for all. This is where Cole lets him know that he came here, he followed him, because he wanted to do some good. And the way he sees it, they stopped the bad guys. They got the magical jewel. They saved the kid. and they manage to not die in the process. And so Cole must ask, what is left? This is where Daredevil says that they have to destroy them all. None of this works if they are not burned away from this earth. Cole now recognizing that Daredevil, he is never going to stop, that this is never going to end. Daredevil can't have it end, and more people are going to die. And so, he goes to leave. With Daredevil getting a sense, he goes outside. He runs into Leonard. Leonard lets it be known that he is taking Bullet and Lance back to New York. After their traumatic experience, they need to be home. Daredevil tells him to say it, and Leonard admits that he is leaving as well. All of his patients turned into soldiers. They weren't ready to make this decision yet, and Daredevil has set them back months. Agony is more feral than she ever was before. Speed Demon, he thinks that he's the hand of God that can murder anybody and be forgiven. This was never the deal. He simply can't support this. He is creating an army of Daredevils, but Daredevil is broken. Him and his holy crusade, his righteous violence. This cannot be the template for those people, for getting better. He lets Daredevil know that when you are ready to actually be helped, you will know where to find me. And while Matt tries to maintain control, he cannot help himself but let that anger burst out. He calls him a coward. He says that he is useless. This anger, this infection of rage, it hasn't gone away. Not since prison. Not since all of that happened. As he screams to the sky, this is when he hears a sound. Without hesitation, he takes off not too far off from this site. He finds a box that is in the snow. Opening it up, there is a cell phone. This cell phone belongs to Stormwind. He is calling to just really have a chit-chat with Daredevil. It has been a while since the two of them have had communications. It has been quite a while since back in Daredevil issue number 16, where Daredevil had stole $3 billion from them. But now, Daredevil is a tick that is burrowing in. His sister and him, they have a plan with the Hand. But right now, Daredevil and the Fist, they are wrecking all of this. He tells him to say sorry, and he will make what happens next stop. Because they are coming for him, to avenge him. With all the snow in the sky, it made it hard to sense the incoming. But they are coming in. Getting down to base camp, telling Foggy to run, cause he believes that the Avengers are about to show up. But he quickly sees that this is not the Avengers. 3 devices being dropped down and huge explosions. They are currently under attack. But Elektra, she wants to go out and fight. Stick tells her that the talisman must be destroyed, or all of this will be for nothing. That they must stay and protect the fire. As smoke fills up the compound, Matt realizes that this is Resid, the prison experiment. The gas that had infected them in prison with rage, making each of them want to tear each other apart. Telling Foggy to hold his breath. He says that he doesn't need to, and at first Daredevil is confused. But that is when Foggy lets it be known that it is time. He says that it was sweet that you rushed after me after Fist's men put me in the hospital, cared for me, and brought me here. But Fist never did anything in half measures. Those men, they had killed Foggy. We see the talisman being destroyed, and Stick says that it is done. The Hand's prophecy is complete. Foggy telling Daredevil that they needed to see where he was. This is his friend's body, his mind and thoughts. But Foggy Nelson, his friend, is in hell. This is where we see both Stick and Foggy disappear. They turn to ash. What this is revealing is that both Foggy and Stick, they were manifestations of the Hand. Just like they killed world leaders and they put puppets in the place, they did the same thing with Foggy and with Stick. They did this so they could manipulate the Fist, so that they could ensure the Hand's prophecy came to fruition. Foggy is dead, Stick is dead, the Fist is dead, and the Hand will be reborn. Obviously, Matt Murdock is devastated. Speaking to God, he said, "I did everything you asked of me. Why would you do this?" But he already knows the answer. He thinks that he has always known. God is dead. He gave his only son, and we killed him. And on that day, God himself died from heartbreak, because we know no other way except for violence. He puts on his mask and he heads into the fray. Elektra says something about Stick, but he is not worried about that. He knows they cannot escape the fight, that they can never escape the fight. He hears another jet coming in and landing. They want to bring them in or die trying. That's where we see Spider-Man, Black Panther, Captain America, Iron Man, and Valkyrie. And they are asking Daredevil, what the hell have you done? Alright gang, so as we jump into Daredevil issue number 10, we are picking up in the midst of the battle. The flames engulfing this island, bodies being thrown left and right. And we have Elektra and Daredevil standing off against Spider-Man and Captain America. They have come to bring the Daredevils in. The only thing that they see is that killers have been broken out of prison, but Matt is truly trying to save these people. He is trying to give them new lives, not let them rot away in prison. This is when Elektra, on the faintest whisper, she tells Daredevil to save the book, that it will tell you everything you need to win against the Hand. When he tries to tell Elektra not to do this, we see Elektra pull up her weapon. She tells Cap that the Hand is the one responsible for killing the president, but none of them want to listen. And Cap says that they're willing to hear it out once everybody is back in custody, as Spider-Man fights against Stegron. Captain America battling Elektra. This gives Daredevil the opportunity to slip away, with Iron Man coming in and taking down our prehistoric monster. Spider-Man goes in to stop Daredevil, but as he goes into this building, it is complete darkness, telling Matt not to make this any worse than it already is. But the way Daredevil sees things is what they do is stop robberies. They catch the bad guys. They break laws to put people in prison, and then they sit there and stew. They get worse, never better, while they run around and fight each other, waiting for time to leave their cells again, darker and more desperate. That is when Matt makes his move, and Daredevil knows that Spider-Man may be the best of them. But Spider-Man has always been naive. All he wants to ever do is help. As the two of them begin to brawl, Daredevil focuses on the web shooters. He hits them first and makes them go haywire. But even this is not enough to go against Spider-Man. The fist magic makes him stronger, makes him faster. The darkness may be his friend, but he does question, will this be enough to take down Spider-Man? As Captain America and Elektra continue their battle, Cap really does believe that Elektra has infected Daredevil, but he has no idea what is truly going on. He has no idea the wars that they are fighting, the battles that happen in the shadows. With Black Panther focusing on our symbiote, Elektra goes and she punches him right across the face. But too much is going on in this battlefield. Captain America throwing his shield, it hits Elektra right in the back of the head. He tells her that she is under arrest, but still she fights. Eventually, Cap is able to bring her down, and she whispers to Matthew to run. But he finds it very hard to run right now with Spider-Man right on top of him. Using all his senses, all his abilities, he is able to get a great punch right across the face of Spider-Man. This allows him to make a run for it, but Spider-Man right on his tail. He jumps in front of Daredevil. He tells him that we don't have to do this, that we are friends, that if you just come with us, we can talk, we can figure all of this out. As Daredevil lets his guard down, he goes in to hug Spider-Man. Spider-Man may be the best of them. He may be the best man there is, but he is still so naive. Grabbing a web cartridge out of the back of Spider-Man's pocket, Daredevil throws himself back and he activates it. Hitting it with his staff, we see the webbing go everywhere. This isn't going to buy him much time, but it will allow him the time to get away from Spider-Man. The amount of nerve pressure he needed to apply to hit Spider-Man and knock him out, it almost breaks his fingers. And so he keeps moving. He makes his way up to the top of the mountain. This is where he runs into Goldie. Goldie is the one that has the book, and Goldie now believes that he thinks he is really connected to it. He feels like that is why he is here, why he has moved around Daredevil's life so much over the years. But he has the power dampening collar on, which means he has no connection to his powers as it stands. This is all Matt Murdock, but he tells him that it's not for nothing, that it has never been for nothing. That is the only thing that Goldie knows with absolute truth. Matt Murdock, Daredevil, he loses so much in the end, but at the end of the day, he survives and saves people. He is God's hero. This is when he asks Goldie to show me God's plan. The collar broken away from Goldie. We see the power come. Goldie holding a stone in his hand, he throws it. A leap of faith. While the battle goes down on the ground, we see a giant avalanche begin to form. It is about to take out everybody on this island, with them focusing getting everybody on board. The ice begins to fall. Spider-Man wanting to go after Daredevil, but they don't have the time. Asking Goldie what he does now, Goldie tells him to leave. You leave and you save all of them. With Goldie falling off of this cliff, as it begins to break apart, Daredevil makes his getaway. Spider-Man really not wanting to leave him behind, but he has no other choice. The plane that they are on is about to collapse. If not for Spider-Man and Valkyrie, this thing would already be in pieces. With tears coming down the face of Peter, he cries out for Matt. Nothing but destruction left in the wake. As Daredevil leaves, he thinks about his beloved, her scent playing with his heart, to sit a moment with her, to sit with love and peace. Thinking that maybe this was never for them. Maybe it was just a dream to keep him warm. All until he enters the kingdom. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are picking up 3 weeks after the events of issue number 10. We are picking up with Cole. Now Cole has been working in Eternal Affairs. He was trying to make a difference. He was trying to get the bad cops off the streets. But after everything that he endured with Daredevil, he has lost hope. He has come today to quit his job. That putting away one bad cop here and there for him, it's simply not enough. He believes it to be nothing more than a PR system. And so while we don't know what is next for Cole, he turns in his badge, he turns in his gun, and he heads home. But his mind is still on that island. When the storm winds bombed the entire thing, when the Avengers came after them, they tried to do something different. They tried to change the world, and they failed. Now, as Cole returns back home, this is where we see Matt. Matt still alive, but now he is hiding out with Cole. And after 3 weeks, Cole is finally fed up with Daredevil feeling sorry for himself. He has been healed up, he has been good for a week now. We learned that Bullet and Samson had saved their lives. But they didn't save their lives so they could be moping around, so that they could feel bad for themselves. Not while everyone else in their life is either dead or suffering. And really, what we see is Cole just putting a beat down on Daredevil, and Daredevil's not really fighting back. Whether he lost the will to fight or the will to live, we are seeing that Daredevil is lower than he has been in the last couple of years. Cole goes on to let him know that we all decided to fight alongside you. We all fought, and we all lost. And Cole is done with him wallowing in his sorrow, pretending to be some ruined messiah. He tells him that things are bad, that your friends are in trouble, so go fix it. That the two of them made mistakes. They thought that they could make the system a better system, that the world could be a better place. But the system infects you. They chip away at your compass, at your heart. And Daredevil is no longer the leader of the Fist, any more than Cole is a cop taking orders. He tells him that you are Daredevil, so act like it. Giving him $100 and a farewell, Matt takes off into the streets. He grabs himself a hotel room. And we learn the real reason that Daredevil has been hiding out is not necessarily because he's ashamed of his loss, but everything in this city reminds him of those that he lost. And so he takes a walk through Hell's Kitchen. He finds a hotel room. He opens up the book. The Stormwinds have won. Elektra and the rest are in prison. But his wife believed in this. She believed in the Fist, in the prophecies. He is still able to magically read the shifting words. He knows that in his heart, if he reads it one last time, it will be the last time. Each page tells him what is to come. As he turns them, the pages disappear. The book is done. He has seen the future. He has seen the end. All of it laid out before him. And so finishing up this book, That's what picks us up with the Stormwinds. As they are discussing current business going on, Daredevil shows up at their door. They quickly throw up the defenses, and the Stormwinds are letting him know that if you have come for payback, we will make everyone you care about pay for it, including your little girlfriend that we have in prison. But they're also letting him know that playing with him and Fisk, this has been more trouble than it's been worth, to just let this go and continue on. But Daredevil, he's not here for revenge. We see him drop down to his knees. He tells them that you cannot destroy what has already been destroyed. He tells them that they have won, to not look so surprised. He knows he is unable to beat them. Their resources are limitless, and Daredevil won't kill them. Daredevil is finally out of moves. The only thing he has left is a deal to make. All he has left is himself. He tells them to free Elektra, to clear her name of all of this. If they are to do this, if they are to leave her alone for the rest of her days, Daredevil will work with the Stormwinds. He will belong to them. He will be their devil. He will do everything he can short of killing. He will be the hand. He will be the fist of the Stormwinds. This is a very interesting proposition to them. A Daredevil, a violent wild card in their pockets. But they do wonder how he's going to stay loyal. He says that he will do whatever it takes. That they have taken so much, but he is willing to show them what he's willing to sacrifice to prove his loyalty. He takes 2 knives and he jabs them into his eyeballs. He asks them if this is enough. And for the Stormwinds, this is more than good enough, telling Daredevil that it's almost sad how broken he has become. They get on the phone and they start arranging the release of Elektra, because they just bought themselves an Avenger. They tell Daredevil that he will report everything, every movement that the Avengers make, keeping them one step ahead at all times. But he does have one more request. He wants all of them released. This is when we see Daredevil move very quickly, getting up to his feet, grabbing Stormwind by the throat. He tells Una that the guards outside have already been taken care of. So if you decide to scream, the only screams are for me. Slamming dude's face onto the desk, he says to call them back. Release every prisoner that you kidnapped from the island. All of the records wiped. Clean slates, every single one of them. And Una does exactly this. She calls and she makes the release. Daredevil letting them know that you are above the law, but you are not above God's law. He tells them that this is not enough, but it is for now. He tells them if you go back on this deal, then he will show them pain like never before. Breaking the window, he jumps out of the building. We see the Stormwind brother, Daredevil, had shoved his eyeball into this dude's freaking eye. And it is finally done. The book is ash. The fist is gone. The prisoners are free to be men and women as God wants them to be. And his wife is finally safe. All Daredevil has left now is to die. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, what we are seeing is all the criminals, they are being released. They are finally free. Their records have been cleaned, and they are going off into the world to do what it is they would like to do. But this is what picks us up with Blind Spot. Blind Spot sitting at the mouth of a cave. Now, when Matt was reading the Book of the Fist, it had one more secret for him. A secret that broke his heart. And sometimes the best of them, the brightest stars, they suffer the worst. But as Matt approaches Blind Spot wastes no time going in, believing that this is the beast. Blind Spot had got entangled with the hand, with the beast. And while Daredevil tries to say that this is really him, that he's not alone anymore, we see Blind Spot finally recognize that this is in fact Matt Murdock. The two of them sitting down. Blind Spot goes on to say that when they had killed the beast, it died here on Earth, but it still lived on in hell. It started coming to him in his nightmares, demanding to repay a debt. It had almost drove Blind Spot mad, but that's when he was approached by Stick, and so Blind Spot was sent to Japan. He was sent here to guard the Siege Infernal. This is how the beast leaves hell. And in those brief moments when he is coming through, blinded by the world, that is the best opportunity to kill him. But Daredevil is letting him know that I am here to relieve you of your burden. Daredevil knows he is at the end of the prophecy. Everything that he does from here on out is unknown. But one thing he does know is that Sam has given too much. He tells Blindspot to go back home, to go to New York, go to your sister. And when the Beast is dead, Daredevil will join him. And hesitant to do this, we see Blindspot pack up his stuff and he heads off. And now it is just Daredevil and his plan. The souls of Foggy and the world leaders are trapped in hell with the Beast, and Daredevil needs to be the one to save them. The danger of being the guard of this place is that it is a vortex. If you die near it, no matter how you lived your life, your soul will be pulled into hell, to the Beast's realm, as he pulls out his sword and prepares to end his own life. This is where we have the arrival of Elektra. She is here to let Matt know that there has gotta be another way. But according to the book, this is the only way. And Daredevil had his doubts about these prophecies. When the Fisk compound was attacked, when Foggy was learned to just be nothing more than a trick, he doubted that God was a living God, that he had given him this path. But he is here now. He is recognizing that this is all supposed to happen. After prison, after Goldie, after the dueling prophecies, going to hell for God is the logical end. And while Elektra tries to plead with him, tries to let him know that there's gotta be another way, we have to be able to find another option, Daredevil says that we tried and we failed. If we want to stop the hand, this is the only way to do it. The Beast is their reason for existing. As the two of them embrace, Daredevil gives her one last kiss. He whispers "I'm sorry" into her ear, and then he makes a break for his sword, Elektra stopping him, tackling him to the ground, because she didn't track him down across the world to watch him die, to bring him home in a body bag. And so the two of them begin to fight. One last dance, king and queen, husband and wife. The two of them know each other's moves so well. A beautiful dance of violence. And that's when Elektra goes to try and tie up Matt. But this is where Matt, he manipulates the ropes. He moves them in just the right manner to where Elektra's sigh goes into his stomach, piercing right through some vital organs. We see Daredevil drop down. He lets her know that it is okay, that this is what is supposed to happen, that he can see it so clearly. He is going to get Foggy. He is going to go get his best friend. And this is where we get the beautiful imagery of Elektra holding Daredevil as he dies. Tears running down her face. She tells her beloved to go fight the devil. This is where Matt wakes up in a ring. He wakes up to his father helping him up to his feet. He lets him know that there is a big fight ahead of him. Not really understanding why his father is in hell. His father can only guess that this was his final sin, the sin of pride, unwilling to let his son see him take the fall. Daredevil doesn't know what he's walking into. He had gone to hell years ago, but back then it was Mephisto's hell. This is different. This is the Beast's realm, where the hand begins and the hand ends. And if it is going to end, Daredevil will be the hand of God. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are picking up with Matt Murdock down in hell, down in the underworld, the realm of the Beast, sporting his pure white suit, his father by his side being his guide. But Matt Murdock is not afraid, because Matt Murdock is not alone. Matt Murdock has God by his side. All the prophecies of the Fist had led him here. They had led him to his death. And he refuses to let this be in vain. As we see the surroundings around him change, he appears to walk into an apartment, one where he finds those that he has loved and lost. From his brother to Karen, all of the people that have died. But he quickly recognizes that these are nothing more than illusions, something to try and stop him along his path. Learning that these are demons, we see the demons fly off as they screech that the Beast will taste his soul. Now down here, his radar senses it's reaching everywhere. Not even in death was this power taken from him. He can feel it brushing against the souls of the damned. It dances through the fire. And all he can think is how lucky he is to have such a gift, to be blessed with the ability to touch without touching. This only helps him understand that God is on his side, that God has always been on his side, that how could he have ever doubted that God was there for him. As we watch him battle through the hordes of demons, no matter the illusions they throw at him, he fights for God. For hours, days, he cannot tell any longer. But it does not matter. He will fight until the very end. This is when he approaches a cage. He finds Foggy. He finds Stick. He finds everybody that he has ever lost. Imprisoned here, he is letting them know that he is here to save them. With Matt letting them know that he's gonna get them out of here and then he's gonna take care of the Beast. That is where we see the Beast arrive. But something happens to the guide. Something happens to the father of Matt Murdock. With the Beast being happy to see the one that banished him back to hell, he tells Matt Murdock that he was brought here as a treat for him. He wasn't brought here by his god. He was brought here by something worse. This is where we see Matt Murdock's father begin to transform into the sibling of the Beast, the sister of the Beast, letting the Beast know that he will be your end. And at this point, Matt Murdock is completely confused, finally starting to understand the hand serves the Beast, and the fist serves his sister. With Matt Murdock dropping down to his knees. All along, Elektra and him were so blinded by the fist representing something more than he thought. Their bloodlust for the enemy, that they never considered what was truly behind it. He had thought that God created the Book of the Fist, with Foggy telling him that everything's gonna be okay, that together none of them can beat him. With tears coming down Matt's eyes, he gets up to his feet. He grabs that cage that is holding his friends in place. God may have not been behind the fist, but God is behind Daredevil. He keeps on focusing on the wrong things. God is love. The thing that drives Daredevil is love. He loves Elektra. He loves the world, its people, and he loves his friends. And so now he is gonna let love guide him, freeing everybody he loves from prison, ushering them out of here. While the Beast and his sister, the two of them battle a great battle above them. The sister letting Matt Murdock know that he can't leave, that his work here is not done, that if he chooses this day not to fight, that there is another of the Beast, one who will. And she is talking, of course, about Elektra. Now, while all of his friends leave, Matt Murdock stays behind because he fights for love and he wants this all to come to an end. He fights for his light. It's inside. That love dissolves all the shadows within inside him. He fights for love with God's love. With him taking his weapons, he jams them into his skull, creating horns on his head, his weapons turning into freaking lightsabers. It has all come down to this. The final fight in a lifetime of fighting. How could it be any other way? But he is here not to fight on the side of the fist. He is here to take down both the fist and the hand. We see that he is quickly able to take down the sister, but he still has the Beast to deal with. As Matt makes his attack, we see that he is struck down by the Beast. In this devastating blow, Matt Murdock lost a freaking arm. With Matt Murdock bleeding out on the ground, the Beast lets it be known that his sister, she played him well, better than he ever could, but he was still brought here as a gift, getting ready to devour the soul. We see one of the weapons that Matt Murdock had thrown up into the air, it came back down, going through the back of the Beast. Matt uses this as an opportunity to get back on his feet, and as everything begins to shift, the sister of the Beast letting it be known that pitting him against her brother, all of these years forging him, his death, that would be hers as well, and she believes it to be glorious. Because of this fall, we are seeing the Beast realm fall apart, with the souls needing more time to escape. Matt Murdock is doing everything he can to allow everybody to get out of here. while Matt tries to catch up. He runs as fast and as hard as he can, with Foggy reaching out to him. Matt Murdock is unable to save his own life, with everybody returning to the world. Foggy and everyone else back in the land of the living. Today, Matt Murdock saved everybody that he loved, and it came at the ultimate sacrifice. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are picking up with Foggy. It has been 6 months since they had returned. 6 months without seeing Matt Murdock, and we see that he is teamed up with Cole North, the two of them now having a law firm together. And they are going after the Stormwinds, doing so through the legal means, trying any avenue that they might be able to do to take them down a peg. While they close up their meeting for the night, we see them head out onto the streets. And while they walk, Foggy recognizes somebody, or at least he thinks he does. A man with red hair. He thought he had seen him. The truth is, a lot of people believe that they had seen Matt Murdock in the corner of their eye, a passing glance at a stranger. But every time they go to look again, they see that it is not Matt. It is not the Daredevil. Even Cole continues to see him through the city, but he sees this as a reminder to keep doing what they're doing, to help the people, that all of this is simply in their head. But there is still that part of them that holds out hope, because we're not talking about an ordinary person. We are talking about Matt Murdock. The possibility of his return is always there. The thought is always lingering at the surface. This is what picks us up with Elektra, out here being Daredevil, doing what she does best. She focuses on the underbelly of this city, taking down the scum and the thieves alike. And she does all of this in the honor of Matt Murdock, trying her best to live up to everything that he is and was. And so after these goons have been taken down, she goes to meet up with Butch, the son of Kingpin, and he has come to own that role. Elektra has come to him today because the vehicle that she had just taken down was supposed to be loaded with guns. These guns were coming into Hell's Kitchen, and so now she is asking Butch what happened to them. But Butch says that she's got it all wrong, that he has been taking these guns out of the city, that he had lifted them from Tombstone. They had been making a deal with Hammerhead. The idea that he is going on is that these are ludicrous men with ludicrous names, that he wants to keep Hell's Kitchen safe, just like Daredevil. But Butch isn't one to destroy these weapons. When he steals these weapons, he's going off and he's selling them. He's just making sure that it stays out of Hell's Kitchen while also taking down his competition. Now, of course, Elektra doesn't fully believe him, but we see her begin to break the priceless art that is in this house, the art that belonged to his father. She says that he is being freed from his history, that he can be a new person, that he can break the old cycles, that he's not harming people to survive. He is harming others to profit. She has been him before, and this is not a life, with Elektra reminding him that she will always be watching. This is where we pick up on a bench that has been dedicated to Matthew Murdock. Foggy sitting down with Reed Richards. Foggy is meeting up with Reed to give him a chessboard, one that Reed and Matt had both been playing on for quite some time. And the games between Reed and Matt were more than just a game. It was more than just chess, because they would have long-reaching conversations, from ethics to God to heaven and everything in between. Foggy believes that wherever he ended up, maybe he made his way back, because everywhere Foggy looks, he sees him. This is where Reed says that his mother had died when he was 7 years old. For years, he had seen her, the back of her head in a grocery store, her profile in the reflection of a window. Every time, his heart would jump. It took him a long time before he realized, in a way, she was still alive. Through his memories of her, through his mind's ability to play tricks on itself. He believes this is why they record, why they make art, why their minds hold on to people after they are long gone. It's so that they continue living. But Foggy can't help but feel like one of your superhero friends is always coming back from the dead. The question is, why can't Matt? And Reed Richards knows that this is not fair. He often tries to reason it out, why his kind seem to evade death, even after the fact. In theory, it sometimes feels like this is almost proof of a higher power, that someone needs them to live to stop what may come, to fight the good fight. and he thinks if there was ever a candidate to come back and fight the good fight, it would be Matt Murdock. As our story continues on, we pick up with Elektra. After having a conversation with an old character that was known for the Guardian Devils, she has this conversation, but she quickly heads off, believing that she saw Matt Murdock. Going around the corner, this is what leads her to a church, St. Margaret Mary's. With Elektra walking inside, this is where she sees him. Matt Murdock letting her know that they had already had their service, but she has just come in for a rest. By all appearances, Matt Murdock has no idea who she is. He may be a man reborn, but he is now a man of God. He has that collar around his neck and he works here at the church. But as they have this conversation, he can't help but feel like he remembers her. He can smell the scent of jasmine. But Elektra goes on to ask if he enjoys being a priest, and he says that this is something he really does enjoy, that it can be hard at times, but so are most things that are worth doing. With Elektra unable to hold in her emotions for much longer, she goes to make her exit with him saying that she is welcome here anytime. Before she leaves, Matt Murdock does ask, "Are you sure that we have never met before?" Elektra looking over her shoulder, she says nothing and walks out those doors. She has seen that the love of her life is still very much alive, but with him being reborn, he is somebody new. He is somebody else. As she contemplates all of this on a rooftop, looking into the mask that she wears every single day now, all she can think to herself is maybe the next life. That maybe in another life they could be happy, they could be in love, they could be together. But she refuses to be the one to bring him back into this life. After everything he has done, after everything that he has endured, she wants him to be happy and content. And right now, she believes that him in that church is exactly what he has. And so she puts on that mask and she heads out because she has work to do. As Matt Murdock heads out for the night, we learn that he is headed off to a new church soon. Headed off to St. Nicholas. As he heads out from the church that evening, this is when he overhears some thugs trying to get some money out of someone, with the person being drugged down the alleyway. Matt Murdock is overcome with emotion. He hears the sound over and over and over again. The man being pummeled, the man being hit, and this is where his powers come back into play. Being able to see the world like he once did, taking his walking stick now used as a weapon. We see him walk into that alley, and that is where this issue will end. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. The Daredevil story has finally come to an end. Chip's run was absolutely brilliant. Everything that we have seen him do has been absolutely magnificent. Now, next month, we are getting a brand new issue number 1. And man, is that title gonna have big shoes to fill. But this issue ends how you expect it to end. Trying to close out some of those loose ends, but some of them are still out there. The Stormwinds are still trying to take over the world, essentially. And we had believed Matt Murdock to be trapped forever. After the battle between the fist and the hand, he had done the ultimate sacrifice. Doing this to save everybody he loves, everybody that he cares about. It appears that there was some divine intervention. Someone has brought him back. But there are still things that didn't really get tied up. Like Goldie. Was Goldie really doing everything he did because God told him to do so? Was the hand and the fist truly defeated? There are many things that are still left in the open. But one thing is for sure, Daredevil has returned. And while Elektra had left him content at the church, happy with the life that he had been leading, the call was inevitable. The devil of Hell's Kitchen has returned. But Matt Murdock also seems to be lacking a lot of memory. Will this memory come back now that he has taken on his persona yet again? Will he remember his best friend? Will he remember those that he has fought for so many years? Will he remember the love of his life? I hope that all of these get answered with the brand new creative team taking over next month with a relaunch of issue number 1. But let me know your thoughts, let me know your theories. If you would like to get completely caught up on everything going on with this series, check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It'll get you completely caught up on everything going on with this series. If you would like to support the channel, you can always do so by joining the channel membership, much like Patreon having multiple different tiers, from $1 to $50. From loyalty badges to comics every single month. Not only are you helping out the channel tremendously, but you are getting tons of perks in the process. Now, if you're unable to do that, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit that notification bell, and with that being said, until the next breakdown.